You missed out last
week. Oh.
You skipped Westminster.
Westminster.
I might go back tonight. You missed the Hound group, which involved this guy right here, Trumpet the Bloodhound. Look at this legend. Wow. If he doesn't win Best in Show tonight, the whole thing's rigged. If they give it to the fucking Bichon Frise, one of these little fake dogs, instead of this amazing dog.
Was he supposed to be doing like athletic stuff, or was he finding stuff?
No, none of the above. It's
so this
competition. It wasn't the agility stuff. It's the beauty competition for dogs.
So you guys went there yesterday, and the dogs weren't like jumping around.
No, they weren't doing any of that.
Well,
what? What's the problem?
I mean, you said I missed out big time.
Welcome in. It is another episode of What's Right with Nick Wright, the podcast and YouTube show. A ton of stuff to do today. I want to get right to it. Subscribe, like, rate, review, do all that cool stuff. Check out our series, our continuing series, which we are now into the top 10 of the 50 greatest players of the last 50 years. But before we get to today's show, we will do what we always do and briefly discuss what is not on today's show. Reveal it to me if you would. Our trusty producers out in Los Angeles, Mike D'Antoni, meeting with Michael Jordan. I would like to see LaMelo in the D'Antoni offense, even if they can't win anything there. Beyonce releasing a new single. Beyonce, also known as the greatest living American. People get mad when I say that.
Living American.
Yeah, greatest living American. If you're going to disagree with that, I need you to submit a name. And don't take a cop-out and be like, how about every single member of our armed forces? Stop that. Give a real name. Tell me a greater living American than Beyonce Knowles Carter. All wait. And then last but not least, the Dubs drank LeBron's tequila at the parade. Listen, Lobos Tequila, build a bigger table. I'm not going to, there are rumors. Nick, you bring up Lobos a lot. Do you have a small equity stake in, Maverick and LeBron's company? I can't confirm or deny whether or not I have a small piece of Lobos Tequila. Do we have a Lobos Tequila bottle downstairs that has my name engraved on it?
Do we?
Yeah, of course we do. We could show it. Yeah, of course. So as much as I dislike some things Draymond has done, Draymond continuing to promote Lobos Tequila, so maybe it can one day overtake Casamigos as the go-to top-shelf tequila in America. Let's be honest, 1942 is so passé. Might as well be from 1942. Okay, there's the unpaid Lobos endorsement. Now, Demonze, let's get right. You laugh at it, man. A lot of your alleged inheritance might be wrapped up in Lobos equity, so you better hope it goes well. Okay, what are we starting with today?
The draft is on Thursday night. Seems like Jabari is going to go first, Chet second, and Banchero third.
Yeah.
Who do you think will be the best guy in this draft class?
Okay, it's important for me, as always, to be honest with the audience. I do not study the NBA draft the way some people do, okay? It's not that I'm unaware of it. It's not that I don't watch college basketball, but some people do this full time. I'm not someone that does it full time. So any of my college basketball opinions and draft opinions, take that, build that into it.
All right.
I, going into draft season, said I thought Jabari should be the first pick, Paolo the second pick, that I would take Ivy from Purdue third, and then I would start to consider Chet. And we'll talk more about Chet in a moment. Now, and it might be a little prisoner of the moment-y, it might be just because I most recently have watched a couple Duke games. I think Paolo's the guy who I know will be a good NBA player. I think Jabari is the most likely to quickly be a 20-plus point per game scorer. I think Paolo is the guy who has the least bust potential and can help a winning team immediately. I think Jaden Ivey is probably, best case scenario. Like if you're talking about what would he be on a championship team, probably third best guy on a champion, but that's still super valuable. And then there's the Chet question. And I've done as much Chet research as I can do. And I really like the kid. First of all, in this profile Tim Keown wrote, talked about where he's from in Minnesota, though a lot of the George Floyd protests were going on. And when it was at its peak, when the cops were really cracking down, he went out with the folks in the streets to protest for racial justice, even though he's super recognizable, a local celebrity, and 7 feet tall.
Right.
And I like him. I believe he and his father and his coach, that he works out a ton, lifts weights, that he eats a ton, and all of that makes me more concerned. I would almost be less concerned about Chet if it was quietly like, he's never put the focus in on his body.
Right.
He's a teenager. He hasn't been on the right regimen. His family has money. He's played in a big-time AAU program, or did, for 10 years. It was coached by Jalen Suggs, his high school teammate, who's now a top 5 pick for the Magic last year, who also went to Gonzaga, by Jalen's dad. He was with them. Then he was at Gonzaga. It's not, if it was for lack of trying or lack of resources that he was this thin, I would be less concerned. He is so skinny.
Yeah.
It concerns me. And so I have deeper analysis than I think Chet is too thin? I don't. But my concern about Kyler Murray going into the NFL was, I don't care what his college film looks like. I do, but not totally. Because he would be the smallest starting quarterback ever. I'm going to need to see you go through seasons before I believe someone your size can hold up to NFL punishment. And as good as Kyler's been, what's been the issue? His body breaks down. He gets hurt. I am concerned about Chet in that regard. So I have flipped on this. I had been saying Jabari 1 again, eve of the draft. I think I actually right now would go Paolo 1, but how it's going to go, and I would bet on this and maybe have bet on this, Jabari is going 1 to Orlando. Chet is going 2 to Oklahoma City. Paolo is going 3 to the Rockets. And Ivy is going 4, maybe not to the Kings. They might trade the pick, but whoever's drafting 4, it's either the Kings stand pat and draft Ivy, or they trade out of the pick for a team that wants to draft Ivy. So there's your quick draft analysis. All right, what's next?
First things first, you proposed a wild trade.
Yeah.
Russ and Anthony Davis for Kyrie and Ben Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
This must be your version of audition for that GM spot on LeBron's Vegas team.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, call it. Yeah, soft opening. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Something like that. So since we're talking wild trades, are there any actual trades that you'd like to see with draft time coming around?
Well, I am interested to see if the Knicks try to move up from 10 and see if they package. The problem for the Knicks is you're not going to trade RJ Barrett.
Right.
And a lot of the other guys that you would package wouldn't help you move up. It would almost make you move down. Right. Like, nobody wants Julius Randle's contract. Nobody wants Fournier's contract. So that's an issue. I am interested if anything moves on Russ. If it does, I don't think it will be surrounding the draft. I suppose it could, but I would doubt it. The Kings are the curious one. The Kings are, because the Kings keep drafting point guards. And a lot of people think that Ivy was the best guy that's going to be available for, but would it make sense for them to draft it? I know that if I were a smart team, I would want to do business with the Kings. That would be the sucker at the poker table that you want to be in a hand with. That's who the Kings have been for decades. The other interesting thing for me is this. At some point, Presti and Oklahoma City have to start trying to compete and win basketball games. And there is already murmurs that one of the reasons they like Chet at 2 so much is they think he's the least likely of the top 3 to make an instant impact. And they want to be bad again because they want this French kid, Victor Wembanyama, who is, I haven't felt this way about a foreign prospect ever except for Luka. The Victor Wembanyama footage is, it looks like it was CGI. The kid's 7'2", can shoot. He I do think is the real deal, but he's a year away. And OKC has all these picks and just wants to be worse every year. I don't like how they're doing business, but I think they're going to stay at 2, and I don't think they're going to package their later picks or future picks to move back in because I don't think they want to be good. So I don't think there's going to be a Bradley Beal or a Damian Lillard or anything involving the Lakers or anything involving Kyrie on draft day. I think once free agency opens is when the real NBA the NBA trade stuff is going to get going. All right, what's next?
The Warriors parade was cool and all, and I'm genuinely happy for them.
No, you're not. You're not happy.
No. I'm not happy. No, I am happy for Steph Curry.
Okay.
I am not happy for Draymond Green.
Okay.
I don't want to go as far as say that I'm not happy for him, but
you just did. You literally just did.
Puts a little damper,
and that's okay to say. You don't have to be happy for everybody.
Yeah.
Draymond's being a pain in the ass right now.
Yeah,
let's just be honest.
The way he acts on Twitter is kind of crazy, given what his performance was in the postseason.
Listen, they won, so he gets to talk shit. But let's not act like Draymond has acquitted himself. What's the way to put it?
He's not off the hook for what his finals performance was,
and he played really well in Game 6, and I will give him credit. But Draymond being the loudest of all the Warriors in this title is crazy. A little off-putting, but go ahead.
Yeah. But the story is obviously the Celtics in the playoffs.
The story for you, sure.
Yeah. Brad Stevens says Tatum was great, but he just needs rest at this point.
Yep.
Seems like he's going to run it back with the same squad.
Mm-hmm.
But what would you do? Would you give Brown and Tatum more time, develop your role players more, add another star?
I don't think they can add another star. Their roster is basically set, and I would run it back. If I were Boston, I would say, hey, you know how we get better? Jason Tatum takes another mini leap. He doesn't have to take the full leap to, oh my God, he's the league MVP.
He's got to clean some stuff up.
He's got to clean some stuff up. He's got a good body, but maybe add a little bit of muscle so he's a little more confident going into the rim. And Jaylen Brown needs to get better. Jaylen Brown is good enough to be the second best player on a champion if you have a Durant, LeBron, Steph, Giannis level super duper star.
Right.
Tatum isn't that. So even if Tatum's going to get a little bit better, if Jaylen Brown is going to be the second best player on a champion, he's going to have to get better than where he currently is. So that's where right now I'm trying to think of a good comp for it. When the Raptors won the title, Kawhi was really sensational.
Right.
I think Tatum can get, not in the same type of player, but to the level Kawhi was at. I don't think Tatum's ever going to get to where Giannis is now, where Durant's been, where LeBron resided for 15 years. But I think Tatum can get to the level that Kawhi was at in 2019. The question then is, can Brown get to the level Kyle Lowry was at?
Right.
And he's not there yet. And so those two guys need to get better. You got to hope Robert Williams is healthy. You got to hope Marcus Smart maintains. And then you do have nice young pieces, and the only old guy's Horford. So I wouldn't do anything drastic. You guys from January 1 on were as good as any team in basketball.
Yep.
And, I think a lot of us think that the fourth quarter of Game 4 flipped the NBA Finals. You guys were in position to go up 3-1. You scored 5 points in the final 6 minutes, and that was it. So I wouldn't overreact. And the other thing is this. Udoka was excellent. Udoka will be better with a year of experience.
Right.
Udoka won't make some of the playoff rotation mistakes sticking with your depth as much as he did. He'll be better about that. All right, what's last?
So this is a tough one. Bear with me, folks.
Okay.
Got some good golf stuff coming up.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Brooks Koepka.
Kepka? Yeah. Koepka, whatever.
All right, Brooks Koepka is the latest PGA golfer to join the LIV Tour.
Yeah.
Is it cool to say LIV or?
I think it is the LIV Tour.
The LIV Tour?
I think it is.
Yeah, that makes me a lot more comfortable. PGA is reacting to try and keep their golfers happy.
Mm-hmm.
Adding more tournaments with no cuts, bigger purses, and more breaks in the season.
All right, pause real quick. What do you think they mean by bigger purses?
Bigger, like the money that they want.
Okay, good job. All right, good job. All right, good job. I
was talking about literal purses. They're getting bigger bags
I thought
now.
there might be a part in your brain. You're like, man, golf's so weird. They give you jackets for certain things. They give out like Louis Vuitton bags. Like, what a weird sport. But good job. Okay, go ahead.
This all obviously benefits the golfers and would not have happened without the LIV Tour.
Yeah.
Could you see something like this happening with another sport?
Oh, like a rival league popping up?
Exactly.
I would never say never, obviously, but it could. The thing that would be most likely is if something like this were to happen in tennis, another sport where you don't need the infrastructure of full teams. The problem is for a rival NBA or a true rival NFL is you need the infrastructure of teams, stadiums. You need full rosters as opposed to what the LIV Tour's done is they convinced 8 to 10 big names. They just need 8 to 10 human beings to defect. The golf courses are there for anybody to use that'll pay the money.
Right.
The infrastructure's already built in. I do think Koepka leaving is a huge deal. Brooks Koepka, prior to COVID, the pandemic, kind of pausing of the sport, and then his own injury issues last year, Koepka in 2018 and 19 was the best golfer in the world. Koepka would just show up and kick ass at majors. I think he won, I want to say 4 of the 8 majors in 2018 and 19, finished second a couple other times. Koepka's awesome.
Okay.
He, in my opinion, is far and away the most important guy to defect to the LIV Tour. And so there is real momentum to this becoming a thing. And the PGA Tour absolutely needs to be concerned. I don't think baseball, basketball, or football need to be concerned. Now, as far as college sports, do I think there's a possibility, as has been floated for a long time, that at one point when it comes to college football, the Power 5 conferences tell the NCAA, go to hell. We don't need you. We're going to create our own 60-team college football league, Big Ten, ACC, Pac-10, or Pac-12 at this point, Big 12 and SEC. Yeah, I do think that could happen and maybe will happen one day. For pro sports, tennis is the only thing that I would be concerned about. NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball have nothing to be worried about, at least in my life.
Just too big of a monopoly.
Correct. Can I tell you, though, quickly? We're late. Again, starting next week, we're putting 16 minutes on the clock for a segment. 12 minutes just never happening. An idea that I've had for a long time.
Okay.
So why has UFC gained so much ground and passed boxing? There's a lot of reasons. I don't think the reasons are it's a better sport. I think for the majority of people, there is still something naturally and inherently and almost primal about watching 2 men box. I feel like it's the oldest sport in the world for a reason.
Right.
And it is far easier to understand for the layman than UFC.
Yeah.
Right? So why did the UFC pass it? The consistency of the events, one major UFC pay-per-view per month, and the simplicity of there is this champion in this weight class, this champion in that weight class. What ruined boxing was...
Doesn't work like that in boxing?
No, because there's different governing bodies. So somebody can be the WBO light heavyweight champion and somebody else can be a different... You can have 3 different champions in the same weight class.
Okay.
And some guys have contracts with Showtime, some guys have contracts with HBO, some guys, a fight we've wanted to see for a year, we don't see for 5 years or ever. So if we're trying to, have big time money come into sports as a way to launder itself, essentially, launder its reputation, I have had this idea forever and no one has done it. If you get a few billionaires together and they take the top 30 boxers in every weight class and simply say, how much does it cost to buy you out of your current deals, to buy you out of the agreements you have with your promoter, with your organizations, whatever. We're going to buy you all out, and you're all going to be signed up to play in our boxing league. where there are standings 1 through 12. There are monthly events. To participate in the league, you must fight 3 times per year. Every 4 months you fight, and here's how it works. The champion fights the number 1 contender. The number 2 guy fights the number 8 guy. You know what I mean? And then you move up. There are standings. There is a set schedule. There are pay-per-views. It would bring boxing back immediately. People would be into it. But it's the initial cost of you've got to buy all the important boxers out of their current deals.
Yeah.
Well, if the Saudis have $800 million to offer Tiger Woods to join their tour and hundreds of millions to offer these other guys, the money is out there. So I would love to see this happen in boxing. Boxing follow the UFC model of one governing body, monthly events, a clear-cut standings. The UFC doesn't really have the clear-cut standings. I would suggest boxing add to that. I think it could become a major sport again. That's my idea. I think it's a great idea. One of my many free great ideas like NFL International Week that everyone ignores, but eventually it'll happen. You're like, God damn, that was a great idea. Nick, so smart. We'll be right back. I can't wait to show you this dog that I'm going to try to get. I cannot
You're
wait.
really thinking about getting another dog?
Yeah. Yeah.
In like the next 365 days?
Well, I figure we need a little more space in the house. And so I would anticipate that in the next
Couple, 2 or 3 years.
16 months, I would think, this house is going to go from 5 people to 3 people. Because Diora will be gone.
I guess that's
my guess is you're going to be gone. And then all of a sudden, your room can get turned into my Chinese Shar-Pei's room.
A Chinese Shar-Pei.
Oh, don't judge. I'm going to show you in the.
No, I know what Shar-Pei's.
Oh,
you
don't know what this guy. Oh, you don't know about this guy. You don't know about this guy. I saw at Westminster. Got the number of the breeder. This is a champion dog, a champion bloodline.
Fun walking your Chinese Shar-Pei in the rainy streets in New York.
Okay, you know what? We'll discuss the dog in a moment. Are you ready for the beat?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. All right, I think we have a new game or a game we've played once before, whatever it is. Welcome back in. What's Right with Nick Wright. DeMonze, what are we doing here?
This is our new game. We've previewed it once, I think.
Yeah.
Nick Wright, public defender.
Oh, I love it. Okay, yes, because if I weren't doing this, I'd probably start as a public defender and then become a high-priced criminal defense attorney. There's no question. As my buddy Laszlo says, everybody knows you're either a prosecutor or you're a defense attorney. I'm a defense attorney. Yeah. I'm not working for the state. I'm not trying to put people in jail, but I will defend you to the best of my abilities, no matter what I think of your guilt or innocence, as per my duty to the American Bar Association and the United States Constitution. Now you might say, Nick, are you a accredited member of the American Bar Association? I am not, but you know why? You want to know before we get to the game? I'm glad the clock's starting. You want to know what's bullshit?
What?
They don't let you take the bar if you haven't gone to law school. So the bar exam is how you become a lawyer.
Yeah.
I feel like, and the argument is, oh, you wouldn't be able to pass. Says who? And by the way, I think in Louisiana, they might let you. At least they seem to in Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio. He didn't go to law school. He took the bar and he passed it.
And you were basing this off.
Well, that was a true story.
Okay.
That was a true story. So maybe in Louisiana you can, but my sister went to law school. My sister went to Columbia Law Review, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then was getting ready to take the bar. And so I bet my dad, I was like, I can do better than her on the bar exam.
Oh, that's wild.
And she was angry, and my dad was
I
like,
bet.
no, you can't. But I then researched. I'm like, man, yes, I can. I'll study for a little bit. Most of it's probably common sense.
Right.
And then they were like, you're not eligible. I'm like, I'll pay the fees. They're like, you're not eligible. I'm like, it's one thing for you to say I'm not eligible to be a lawyer without going to law school. Again, not sure about that. But to say I'm not eligible to take the exam,
right.
Let me take the test. See, if I crush the test, maybe I'm more motivated to sign up for law school, which, by the way, before you turn 35 years old, I will have a law degree. Okay. I'm going to do it at some point. It's going to be night school.
You said before I'm 35, right?
So I got 12 years. I got 12 years to get the law degree. But this is good practice. Nick Wright, public defender. What are we doing? Go ahead.
All right, Rob, you're in good hands. Gronkowski, retired.
Allegedly.
This was huge news. But seconds after, his agent said that he'd return if Tom Brady called him. Defend Robert Gronkowski as not an attention-seeking guy with another sham retirement.
Okay, so here you're fine. All right, so listen, everyone attacking my client, Mr. Gronkowski. Let me tell you something right now. I would ask you, as a child, did you have heroes? As an adult, did you have people in your field or in fields adjacent to yours that you looked up to? And did you ever say to yourself, you know what? In order to be the greatest, I must model myself after the greatest. My guess is you did. And so if you're an athlete in America and you're saying, what is the GOAT path? Who are, two guys? Basically, one unanimously considered and one considered by most to be the GOAT. Well, in basketball, it'd be Michael Jordan. In football, it'd be Tom Brady. So Michael Jordan, once upon a time, retired, allegedly, to go play baseball. Came back 18 months later. Nobody judged him for it. He then retired once again. Came back 3 years later. And then the third and final time retired, but still seemed to want to come out and practice with the team. We then saw Tom Brady, someone that my client not only, has great affection for, but, knows quite well, has played with him, retire and come back less than 6 weeks later. And was he criticized for it? No. Did he pay any penalty for it? No. And in fact, he seemed to get more power from it as they fired the coach that he moved on from the coach that he allegedly had issues with. So I would ask you, what else do you expect my client Rob Gronkowski to do? And
he actually did it in much better fashion than Tom Brady.
Well, he didn't hijack Super Bowl week. Thank you, co-counsel. And so, yeah. And if you are going to convict my client for attention seeking, I hope you are checking the statute of limitations and see if we could have some retroactive convictions against your GOATs, Michael Jordan and Tom Brady. We rest our case. Next.
Remember, once upon a time, football players or athletes, should I say, were opting in to get paid in cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Well, that hasn't seemed to age too well.
Okay.
Saquon lost.
Saquon?
Yes, yeah. I apologize. Saquon lost 33% of his contract value. Odell, 42%. And Trevor Lawrence, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
63%.
Yeah. That was almost $60 million.
Again,
this is really, by the way, we're basing these numbers off one tweet that I'm not sure we actually verified, but it sounds right. Go ahead.
Yeah, defend these guys for betting their livelihoods on crypto.
All right. Listen, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, there are multiple ways to invest money and to try to grow money, or to do none of the above. It is your right in this country to ask to be paid via direct deposit. Go to the bank, take the money out of your bank, and bury it in your backyard. You can take the money and buy gold bars. That's allowed. You could buy T-bills from the U.S. government and get 1% return, if that. You can leave it in a checking account these days and get maybe 0.5% and have no chance whatsoever of that money decreasing in value, though that is available to you. However, if you would like to grow your money, and I don't know if you, my fellow Americans, have checked the price of milk or the price of gas lately, but it seems like things are going up. Seems like inflation is hitting the country quite hard. So if you do just bury your money in the backyard, if you do just put it in a checking account, getting 0.5%, and your $1 million a year later is $1,050,000, it's actually probably more like $850,000, because that $1 million doesn't go as far as it did a year ago as inflation ravages this country. So my clients decided I'm going to invest it. Nobody would bat an eye if they invested. If they said, you know what? I'm going to buy stock with it. But have folks checked over the same timeline what some of the hottest, trendiest stocks have done? How's Peloton doing these days? What about AMC? Remember the stonks thing? Oh, those kids on Reddit are going to make everyone rich. How's that one doing? What about a lot of those tech stocks? Y'all seen a Snapchat stock lately? Yeah, exactly. That chart is straight down. So yes, my clients knew they were taking a risk. With any great return, there must be great risk, or else it wouldn't be investing. It would be scheming. You can't say hey, you might be able to double your money within a year without a risk. But however, it feels to me this is preying on people's own biases and pointing out my 3 clients lost money in a certain type of investment and just leaving alone all the folks that have lost money investing in blue chip tech stocks or have lost money by simply keeping the same amount of money that has less spending power. So I ask you, is this really about a fear? Is this really about my clients losing money? Or is this actually about the fear of the unknown and the fear of what's next? What is next? Go
ahead. Chase Claypool says he's top 3 receivers in the NFL right now. Mm-hmm. He's not even top 3 in the AFC North. Defend his take.
What do you want my guy to say? I'm just curious. Hey, Chase, big season coming up for you and the Steelers. How do you think you stack up against other receivers in the NFL? Would you like him to say? Well, let me be very honest. I'm not nearly as good as a lot of them. I know the Steelers are relying on me and counting on me, and I have had moments where people say I have the talent to be one of the best receivers in football, but I've crunched the PFF rankings, and it looks like I'm like the 6th best guy in the AFC North. I've just got to be honest with you. Is that what you'd like him to say? Or do you want him to exhibit the confidence that got him here? How do you think Chase Claypool was good enough to be a starter in high school varsity and then good enough to get a Division I scholarship and then good enough to make the NFL and good enough to have some great NFL moments? Obscene confidence. Confidence that has carried him. And now you want him to add some false humility because his yards per route run doesn't match up to Jamar Chase? You don't even believe what you're asking me. What's next?
Steph had a cigar in his mouth for the parade this week, but didn't have it lit and was proceeding to hit it and take puffs. It sounds like he's joining the Russell Wilson Club, by the way.
Oh, okay. But let's not do that, Steph. Go ahead.
Defend the use of cigars and champagne in championship celebrations when no one actually likes them.
Okay. When no one actually likes them.
He actually might have had it lit there.
I'm not sure.
Maybe he went out.
I'm not certain.
What if there was
Let me
nothing
make
in
sure
the
what I'm
cup
supposed
as
to
well?
defend here. I'm not necessarily supposed to defend if Steph was or was not smoking them. I'm supposed to defend the generic use of champagne and cigars.
Exactly.
When, quote, no one actually likes either.
I like both.
So, well, that's good to know.
I'm joking.
So, no, that's...
No,
I doubt you are. And if you like champagne, if you do like champagne, you're going to really like champagne once you can buy champagne that doesn't come in like a cardboard jug, when you can buy like some actual champagne. I, on the other hand, not a big champagne guy. The executive producer of the show, Gabe Goodwin, had a tweet about how everyone's pretending to like cigars and champagne. And to which I would say, to ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I don't even need to defend this because the question is so flawed. When the question assumes that everyone else's tastes are the same as the questioner's, that defend the use of something that no one likes, when quite clearly many people do like it. Now, I am a cigar guy. I am not a champagne person, but I am not so arrogant, egotistical, self-absorbed, and delusional to assume my tastes are everyone's. To just assume that because I believe cream soda is the greatest soda to ever exist, that other folks who are saying, "No, I'm not a cream soda fan," that
just
they're
lying to be cool.
that they're just trying to fit in with the crowd. I would ask you this, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Is there anything that you deeply, passionately like that some folks have said, I don't? Maybe you're a person that likes bananas with peanut butter. Not my thing, but you love it. Maybe you're someone that says...
Sardines.
Yeah, sardines. Maybe you go to a steakhouse and you order the chicken because you're just not a red meat person. Are you faking it, or are you being true to yourself? That's my question. And this is not really about Steph Curry or championship parades. It's about the insecurities of the questioner, if we're being honest. We rest our case, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back in. Final segment, What's Right with Nick Wright podcast and YouTube show. I like that Nick Wright Public Defender game.
Yeah, I think that's we should do that more often.
Game. That's a fun game. And you guys will start the clock here because we went late on the other stuff. We'll get to the Chinese Shar-Pei in just a moment. It reminds me of when I first got hired in radio. The guy who hired me, Alan Davis, who I'll forever be indebted to because he gave me a shot and it turned into it was the single biggest domino that fell in my career. He called me into his office one day and said, I want to play a game with you. And I said, okay. He said, I'm going to point at something in this office and I need you to give me 6 minutes on it. And I'd come in and he would just be like, that picture on the wall of me with such and such. And I would just have to have a take and a rant about that.
Right.
Which I really think was like great training for my 100%. Brain to figure out like how to, you want to be fully prepped on things.
Right.
But I didn't know what those questions were going to be. And I didn't know what he was going to ask me those days. Right. It's good to kind of like practice that mental agility of when you're not prepped, can you still make a compelling argument? So I enjoy that game a lot. Almost as much as I enjoyed going to the Westminster Dog Show Tuesday night and seeing, I can't believe the Chinese Shar-Pei didn't even make the semifinals of its category. But Demonte, look at these dogs. Look at them as puppies and then as grown-ups. And I don't know if we have the ability in post-production to add pictures of Chinese Shar-Peis, but that is the goodest of the good boys ever. And I'm getting one. I am absolutely getting one. I read all about them this morning. Incredibly loyal. Great with children.
Incredibly loyal.
Yeah, well, that's a big thing with dogs. You got to be fiercely loyal. Might have to protect you one day.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't see dogs that aren't loyal.
Well, that's a good point. It's a good point. That is
extremely loyal.
Yeah, but even by dog standards, they are loyal. Right. He's very chill, which could be a nice. So here's the thing. I was reading this American Kennel Club thing about his breed, like the full rating about it, and then I was like, how accurate are these ratings? And so then I read the rating about Portuguese water dogs, which Dexter is. Oh, it's spot on.
Yeah.
He's like a 6 out of 6 on activity, a 6 out of 6 on affection, a 5 out of 6 on drool, like all of it. I'm like, oh my God, they nailed Dexter. And so, yeah, I think I want another dog. I want the son of the dog I saw at Westminster. Now that's probably going to be expensive.
Yeah. Now
that I think about it, like one of his scions, what it's going to be. But because he didn't win, maybe not quite as expensive. But I really liked the Bloodhound, but a Bloodhound needs a ton of space. You can't get the Bloodhound. There was also, I got to show you.
Mom also, I feel like, would not let you get a Bloodhound.
I don't know.
For some reason, like I just don't think that.
I also got to show you this dog. Oh gosh, official dog of Mexico. It was, this thing, this beautiful dog. It's spelled XOLO something. I don't know how to pronounce it, but this dog, they say he's a hairless dog, but he is a beautiful dog. I think I want like 5 dogs. I don't think it works really well in New York City. I got you. But I think at some point I want to own a bunch of land and have like a giant stable of dogs. I've become a dog guy. My whole childhood, my parents told me I was allergic when I am not allergic. My sister was allergic, so we weren't allowed to have dogs. And they said we were both allergic. And it was bullshit, and I'm still a little bitter about it. And then when me and your mom got together, your mom already had Mo, who became my first ever dog,
right.
And I loved him with all my heart. He passed. We got, but I wasn't around Mo as a puppy.
Right.
Then we got Dexter, who's my first puppy ever. Dexter's my guy, even though he's totally insane and I think has some mental issues.
Eating some.
I think he's what do you call that? Neurodivergent. I think we have a neurodivergent dog, but that's fine. I still love him. But now I'm going to get one of these fancy. We already got a semi-fancy dog, Portuguese water dog. I'm going to start getting fancy dogs. And along with in the next decade going to law school, maybe getting the dog, the show. No, not breeding. The showing. Yeah. Become a dog shower. Professional dog shower.
Yeah.
You don't seem to believe me. I'll be honest. I don't think I'm going to become a professional dog shower. I just want to get show dog quality and walk them around and play with them. That's what I want to do. We'll talk to you guys next week. Hey, thanks for watching. Smash or just lightly tap that subscribe button. It all works the same. To get more from the show, and make sure you click. Why don't you want to mash the bell too, guys? Or just, lightly tap the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just hit the link in the description below.